welcome to Inception Podcast. I'm having a conversation this evening in the UK, but it's not in the USA, with Randy Veitenheimer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
It's near enough correct, isn't it? Now, Randy, I do know is an energy healer. That is so simple for me to say. He has his YouTube channels, his websites, his emails, Energy Doctor with a K, and you can get hold of him. But at the end of the show, Randy will pop some things out. He reminded me. What I would like to add, and here goes my English language lesson. Randy is part of the I'm not going to be able to say it now, Randy. Come on, just say it.
Potawatomi tribe.
See how easy it is to say? I could say that really. I was just pretending I couldn't. Anyway, welcome to Inception Podcast, Randy. Tonight it's me and you, Zoom to Zoom. We're going to have a conversation about consciousness and all things in consciousness. So I'm just going to start this off, and I'm going to ask you a question from your truth, your perspective. What is the human experience? I.e., what is your human experience about? What is it?
What's the human experience?
Your one.
Mine is, I would say, curiosity.
Okay.
Right. And of course, curiosity killed the cat. And you can find that with everything from Schrödinger and quantum physics to
I like that analogy.
Whatever. Yeah.
I like that.
So curiosity is a funny thing. Oftentimes this can be painful. Okay. And so life itself, we find, can have painful outcomes.
Okay.
And we can either actively seek out those experiences, or we can be a willful participant or unwillful participant in them. And to me, nobody really knows what is going on. So people, the more absolute you become about that, you know what's going on. Of course, we'd elevate you to a guru and finally to an avatar. And at that point, to me, you lose all meaning in your own life, because what you've done is accept somebody else's idea of what it means to be like.
Let me jump in. So on that, really interesting on that, did you choose to come here to experience the curiosity and everything? How did you get here, Randy?
Well, what I talk about is that you have existence prior to this existence. Mm-hmm. You have what I teach, like with pregnancies and things like that with women, is that the consciousness and personality of that entity exists independent of your body. And it takes getting pregnant to become an opening. Mm-hmm. Without getting in all the language, you make room for that person to come in.
Okay.
And so then to assign that you had a purpose, to me becomes a little nebulous, because circumstances determine so much of what goes on in our life. And one of the books I'm writing right now deals with the fact that you really can't know the circumstances, but you can kind of prepare yourself. Okay. So now we go backwards and say that personality that existed in Zen Buddhism, we say the face you had before you were born.
Yeah.
You exist out there. You exist out there in some sort of field or some sort of corral or whatever language you want to use. Yeah. And so it's kind of like you have an opportunity to be born.
Okay.
And one of the things I talk about is I have brothers and sisters, and we used to say, our family, I have a brother and a sister, and my sister has a brother and two brothers and a sister. And so what we were referring to is we have a sister that in some ways doesn't fit, right? And it's like, how did she get in this group, right? And so that's the first thing we learn as we come out of individuality, is that we're part of a group.
Yeah.
And so when I started exploring that, I started asking those people that were not born yet, but had the potential to be born. And what I found is that, like, you have a choice on who you get to be born to, but that choice is related to circumstances. In other words, that can go away. We could say that the potential for you to be born with this person is active. And what that means is at any given point, circumstances may not allow you to be born there. So you would have what we call first choice, second choice, third choice. And when I went through that, I found out that, like, I was a first choice. I chose my parents, we could say. And same thing, my brother and sister. And the other sister, we found out, was like a third choice. She had none of the consciousness, shared physical attributes, genetics, whatever you want to call it. And no, she wasn't born from some other activity.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. But she didn't match in. And no, we had no understanding of her. And so if you tried to explain that, you can go through psychiatry and this, that, and the other. And it's not that you don't belong. You have an opportunity to be here, wherever here is.
Okay.
And, but that opportunity can shift. And so we found that out. So when you say, like, you know, what is your human experience? It's one that's defined by a combination of you being you before you were born, and then you being you in the circumstances you find yourself in.
That's a really cool analogy. I like that. Interesting.
And so now we come up with literally what you can experience in a human life is determined by, number one, your perceptive ability, your faculties, all these things that psychologists write about.
Okay.
And then none of them write about the circumstances. It's very hard to find somebody that goes, well, they may attribute something to the way your mother was or dad was or something like that, but they stop. They don't allow for the entire human experience as it's stated as a collective consciousness, and your interactions with that collective consciousness and your ability to be a part of it.
Okay.
And those become things that, like, when I work on people, I can actually tell you how much you are, how much you do that, to what extent. Yeah. And then we can go into the pathology of it, of, like, pardon my language, what the hell happened to you?
I always, I look in the mirror every day and say that to my own beingness. What the hell happened to you? What went wrong? Hold on.
Yeah.
Right. So now this has got all entangled. So I'm going to pull it apart. So, for example, to give you an analogy, when I say, who am I? Okay. I'm at this state of consciousness now, that I am consciousness, you're aware, having a human experience. Okay. Coming from, my truth is coming from non-duality and that sort of area. I'm consciousness having a human experience, or you could say I am a spiritual being having a human experience. Before we go to the second part of that, does that resonate with you in a way? Are you first a spirit being, then human?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you an alien?
I think it's a juxtaposition.
Yeah.
What are you is a better language to start with, right? Who comes out of what? It's you can't separate what I call a conscious identity from what that conscious is expressed as.
Well, so no, I hear you on that. So okay, no, I like going. I like that. So then I would say I am conscious in my juxtaposition, because sometimes I have to talk as a Homo sapiens sapien way and sometimes as a consciousness way. I would say the human comes from consciousness. It's not the other way around in my truth.
Okay.
I would say that. So I would say I am consciousness having a human experience. So for me, that's my truth. That's just my truth.
Okay. And my comment would be that your consciousness, or you're conscious as a human being, okay, but your consciousness can include other than being human.
Oh, hell yeah. Everything.
Right. Yeah.
But,
So when you express yourself, which we all do as human beings, we generally don't run around expressing ourselves as something else, like as an animal or whatever.
No,
but you find that, you find that throughout history. And of course, in Native American culture, it was one of the practices is to assume, let's say, the consciousness of a plant or an animal. And that transmogrification allowed one to experience consciousness in a way that you can't as a human.
Yeah, because coming from the, coming from my truth, the consciousness of a plant, a tree, an animal is the same consciousness as mine, the one, however, expressing in different form and shape and levels of consciousness. I'm going to pull this to this. I'm giving it to you direct because you know that I'm going to try and stop your opinions. You know that we did agree. We did agree. Yeah. You can do that on the show later on in the year. With this behind us now, why am I here then?
Oh,
why are you here? Now we've got this far. Who you are? Okay. Why are you here on this planet in this 3D reality? Why did you come in? Why are you here?
Okay. It's not even a thinking thing, it's a knowing thing. Everybody talks about purpose in life. Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
It's you only have one purpose, is to be alive. That's it.
Love it. I love it. No, I love that.
It is absolutely what we call base level programming, atavistic programming, whatever you want to call it. You have an inherent directive, we'll call it, to be alive. And then if you go to that duality you like, the universe has a job, and their job is to find how many ways we can make you not be alive.
Read that one before. Write that down. I'm gonna have that out with Chris Matthews.
I was talking to a client earlier, and she asked me what I meant by that, and I said, well, I've actively tried to not be alive, let's say 4,604 times in my life, right? Now, that doesn't mean the universe, the field, God, whatever you want to attribute to, hasn't been played an active part in trying to assist me in not being alive. And so when we take a look at that, we just take note of it. And so why are you here is to be alive in the face of life itself. That's it.
Wow, I like it. Interesting.
And everybody does it. Everybody does it. And so if you combine your first question, it's like all humans, there's only one human life, just like there's only one human. And the logic of it is you're either human or you're not. Well, and then if you have a human life, you have a human life or you don't. You have a life as a dog or a cat, and we can get into all that incarnation stuff. But so the idea is like you're human and you're having, like you say, a human experience, but we shouldn't be limited by that. And then
no, it's not limited. And I think in my case, it's coming from the limited conscious being to the unlimited conscious being to experience the one. I resonate with a lot of that. Now, hold on. We're going to go down the rabbit hole. We're going to go camping. Get your coffee ready. Now tell me, from your truth, with all that we've gathered so far, what is this reality? As in, from my truth, we create this reality. We are creating this reality by choices. So hold on. So, for example, if you're a negative Nelly person, you moan and you're a victim and poor me, yeah. And I connect with you and I get into then I will go down and experience the trauma, the suffering, and everything just goes, and I just don't do that stuff anymore. Anyway, so however, or if I connect you and I know you're very uplifting, I don't want to give you a name that you don't agree with, but you're very spiritual, uplifting, you're a seeker, and you're willing to talk and share, then I then come into your energy. So then by connecting with you that way, I shift my reality, because you may say something, I'll go, oh, I never thought about that. And I'll use some discernment. I may take it on, I may not. However, so this is what I mean when I say we create our own personal reality, okay? And consciousness as the one creates all things at all times in the now. So that gives you what the question is about. So you tell me from your truth, what is reality?
Well, it's patently untrue we create reality. So, and
all right.
I can actually kind of back that up. So, like Dr. Bill Tiller talks about co-creating reality. He did this about 22 years ago at a conference. He first talked about it. And then you had people like Joe Dispenza was there, and Greg Braden, a lot of other people. And they were science and consciousness conferences that would bring people together and argue about this. And I would argue with them, because I didn't feel like they really had a clear position on it. That's my opinion. I'm not supposed to have a position. Okay, so you don't.
I don't argue that. I don't argue.
Yeah. Now, number one is if you break it down, first of all, you're not you. Mm-hmm. This is the first thing that happens, is at some point from about 6 years on, you lose yourself. And so when somebody says, like, I'll mention names, what is the guy talks, Tony Robbins, you can do this. The answer is no, you can't. Number one, you're not you. And the biggest thing about creating reality is that the circumstances have to allow for that reality to be present. So they skip all that. And so, first of all, you're not you. That's my primary job when I work on people, is reset them to be themselves, because I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if that's true, then what happens is, if you're self and you have enough energy, and this is physics, if you don't have enough energy, you're not going to make it rain. You're not going to get rich. And my favorite ad on the internet right now is, there's a Joe Dispenza ad says you can manifest $77 million in the next 14 days. And so
we are not talking about others. Don't.
Okay. Well, anyway, what that does is offends my consciousness. So anyway, so here's the rules. And I did a little lecture at Central Park, where I said the 7 things they leave out, it's on YouTube, when they say you can create your own reality. So Dr. David Hawkins, I tell people to read the book. It's Power versus Force.
Your truth, not Dr. David's, your truth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in that, and I talk about it, that consciousness is a relative, like file drawer, or relative positionality is better in how you experience the world. And like you said, I can experience that as a angry person, as a depressed person, your experience in reality. Did you create it? No, but you're participating in it. And so this is where actually free choice comes in. And that is the ability to participate in a consciousness that's not yours. And we know that because we get married and things like that, right? But ultimately, you come back to your own consciousness and you examine what you're participating in, because all choices are available.
Absolutely.
Right. It's only the quality of them that comes into question.
Okay. I have no issue with that. Not that it's, who cares whether I have an issue or not? It's your truth, and I respect and value your truth. However, as you went deeper and deeper and deeper, we are perceiving reality very similar. When I say I create my reality, I'm fully aware, right? We're going to have to use some religious terms to express what I'm trying to say, is I am like a child of the universe, or the child of God, or the child of consciousness. So I'm fully aware of the oneness, and I speak about it a lot. And the analogy I use, you have the oneness consciousness. If you put a colander over, all the light, all that coming out is the individual limited conscious beings. Okay, so I'm not, when I state that we create our own reality, I'm actually saying this similar to you. I'm not saying I am God, by the way. Get over it. No, I'm not. So I can see it's beautiful how you come your way through and I come my way through. However, one thing I don't do, and I used to do it, I was rampant at doing it, was judging another belief system. I don't do that. That's gone now. And I think maybe that's why I'm so open to listen to everyone's truth. And I say, that's your truth. I can't. Another analogy I use, Randy, is if I cut an orange in half and give you half and I have half, we are both experiencing an orange. However, we will experience it totally different. We will have a different context, the way how we explain what it feels like, how the body. So this is what I'm saying. So for me, when another comes on the podcast and it doesn't matter, there's no right or wrong. I find I don't judge, or I don't get pissed off, or I don't get angry. I go, wow, that's your experience. How can I judge you? I'm not experiencing what you're experiencing. I haven't got your culture, your social determinants that are all around you and your upbringing. Does that make sense to you? So I am open to that. We all say coming from consciousness, and that's the whole point of it. It doesn't matter. No opinions. I'm watching you, Andy. You said I'd have to watch you. Right. We've got that bit going. You're not allowed to judge me. Don't you judge me.
Okay.
Right.
The way I look at it, humans are non-relational, no matter how much we try.
Right, but we are not going down that road, Randy.
Okay.
I warned you.
Well, that's what you're talking about.
No. Come on, pull it back. Let's pull it back. Right. So the next one is.
Okay.
What we've done so far. This is so much fun. I love it. If I go too dark in here, I can put the light on. Let me know.
No.
I won't even notice.
Are you going to put on the light of consciousness? Is that what you're going to do?
Are you going to? We do have humor at last. See, guys, he's got some humor in there. It took me forever to dig that out, did it not? Right. So come on. Now we're going to go back. We're going to go back into this. So in relation to what we've said, so me and you in the Zooms have, we've listened to each other's truth to a level. We're sharing this because, no one knows everything. No one actually knows the truth. We're all working through that. Not even Randy or Gloria. Yeah. Randy, in relation to what we've discussed so far, the human. So who is ET? And you're familiar when I say ET, ET covers the whole lot, whether it's, I'm a medium, okay, psychic medium. So it covers spirits, it covers people label dimensional beings, or whatever you want to call it, Randy. So in relation to us, who is ET? Who do you think ET is?
What do I think ET is?
Yeah.
Everything that exists has consciousness.
Yeah, so it's consciousness, yeah?
Yeah, this is Native American. And now we go beyond Planck's scale of things, matter, and I developed another scale that says that the amount of energy, quanta, in any given point can have consciousness too.
Okay, so we know they're conscious beings.
Right.
They are from our perception in the present time, right, coming from the juxtaposition of consciousness, we know they're conscious beings in a different
Right.
sense. Let's come back to the Homo sapiens sapien for our audience. There were different, coming from the human experience, not conscious, there were different civilization, okay? But who are they in relation to us? And we might as well just I'll pull you into it. And how are we connected to them? I'm going to pull you in it now, down the rabbit hole.
Okay. That's easy.
You know what? I thought Ryder was trouble. This man is trouble, guys. Watch it.
Okay. Three or four things. Number one is I asked a guy who does a lot of productions on ET and has been researching it for 30 years. And I said, how are you a better person for having done this? Mm-hmm. And not out of meanness, but out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Right. And so now we find, like, what are you interested in and what does that do for you? Mm-hmm. And so that curiosity comes back into play. Number one is like extraterrestrial. Well, there's other ones. There's interterrestrial.
Yeah,
there's so back to being human again. We're not exactly human. If you take the number of cells in the body, the number that actually human, about 27% is what they say. So then we go, well, what about the other ones? Well, a lot of people that have issues, let's say with sugar, is that sugar supports a colony. It supports a consciousness, and that conscious that exists in your body, let's say, revamps your thinking or your neurochemistry. It can have that much effect to the point that you crave sugar even though you don't. Remember, you're not being you.
Yeah.
So now that's just on an inner scale. And we don't know how far that rabbit hole goes. We don't know what all those populations, because we are not human. We are truly symbiotes. And so if you take...
Hold on. I'll stop. Hold the horses. Is ET, come back to ET.
Okay.
Is ET the same?
Okay. So if we take it at a physical level, we're symbiotes. But here we go. What I work on with people: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, psychic, psychological, etheric, astral, causal, and an unlimited thing. So what happens is, what makes you think we're not symbiotes with something that does not have a physical existence in this reality or this particular dimensions? And I don't like the word dimensions, by the way. So
look, he's definitely just like Ryder. He's complaining already about you. No, to be honest with you, no, a lot of words recently I do not like. I don't know what's happening, but I'm talking going, I don't like that word anymore. Can we get rid of it? Because I don't know why this is happening, but we do connect on that one. There were words I just, I can't use them no more. Yeah, go on.
Okay. So why wouldn't we share space, time, space, time, whatever, which is not corporeal, or that which is not physical, because we do it all the time with our thoughts. And we could finally come and say thoughts are not exactly a thing. And so the idea that there's other conscious, other collectives out there, remember the parasites in the body. There's others out there, and it only takes a drug experience or a high fever or wandering in the desert for 40 days, and all of a sudden you're an expert and connected to that which you were previously not connected.
Look, stop judging people. It's their experience. Let them do what they do. Let them do what they need. I'm asking you. I mean, coming from my perspective, I'm what you call a contactee all my life. So they broke and shattered the narrative of what reality and Newtonian physics was.
Okay, wait. What? When you say you had that experience, I agree with you. I have not had your experience. I've had your experience.
It's just right. So I will ask the question.
there is no reality to the reality you have. How's that? Why? Because it can't be shared.
Hold on a minute. You just asked me a question. Let me answer. Do I ever have him back on the show?
Yeah.
I agree with that from the juxtaposition of consciousness.
Right.
I agree with that from that position. Have no issue with your truth. But if you ask me a question, you've got to let me answer. Okay. Right. We're really going for it now. Fisticuff suit. No, never with me. Never with me. Right. We'll build it up and then we're going to pull it all back together. Okay. So obviously questions are being raised everywhere, and especially in your country by your government. Not mine, yours. With the phenomena, I couldn't say that word then, UFO and whatever. Why? Let's forget that we're not humans for a minute, okay? Just forget all what we said. Why are they here? Now, this one, I'm not coming from a humorous area. They are here. People are seeing them, experiencing them as their consciousness expands, whatever. I'm not giving you a truth. I'm just giving you sort of an analogy to bring you into the question. Why are these beings here, even though they've always been here? But at this point, they're becoming more physically informed than... Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Number one, they're not here. Okay. I tell you what, you can't share them. Like you say, well, I had an experience with ET. Well, invite them over for dinner and let us all talk. Okay. Nobody has ever done that on this whole freaking planet. Right. All the people that say they've had the experiences, nobody has said, guess who I'm bringing to dinner? I think they even made a movie about it. But so now to answer your question.
That was an opinion, by the way, and a judgment. Stop.
Okay.
You're naughty.
Well, okay. So what happens is like, how does physicality come into existence? And we would say, well, it comes out of some form of energy slowing down to information slowing down to matter. And the intermediate steps are what we call etheric and plasma. Yeah. So now what you see is ET is a plasma type being or an etheric type being that does not have a physical reality.
And does not want to come to dinner with you, I'm telling you.
And I don't know what I did wrong. I'm an excellent cook. And right.
Hold on, I'm going to put the lights on. Randy, just stop it, you troublemaker. I'm going to put the lights on because I'm disappearing into the ether.
You're disappearing into the dark? I've heard of that.
Yeah. I'm off as soon as I can. Oh, gosh. So basically, I do know. It's really interesting, your theory on ET. Obviously, you haven't experienced what I've experienced, so I can only speak for mine and you can only speak from yours. But the whole point of this conversation is to have this conversation without judging anybody. And yet, don't you roll your eyes at me, Randy, okay? Without judging another is to allow another to speak and say, well, this is my truth. And what's your truth? And that's what it's about. This conversation on consciousness and who we are and these beings, whether they're angels or greys or whatever, there were millions and millions of people have experienced them. And there's millions that haven't. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It's the singularity experience each one of us is coming through on. However, we need to have, in this time now, this discussion, okay? We need to have, and to make it open, it's okay to talk about this. Because when you have a conversation with someone, what kicks in is not only discernment, but introspection. Yeah, and you go, never thought about that. And the limited beings that we are in the human form can start to expand and, think, wow, I've never looked at it that way. I've looked at it this way because of social determinants, religion, culture, ancestry, whatever. And that's the whole point of this conversation. I'm going to pull this as we come up to the hour. With all of this behind us, there's one thing I'm going to add to this conversation, because I've loved it. I've loved it, and I will do it again with you. And we can go head to head next time, me and you. But you're not allowed to judge me. You're naughty. Now, I would like to ask you something. And this come out, being now aware of some of your truth. This come out in our panel discussion. It was really wonderful. Everyone had a different take. Could you tell me what you think fear is?
Fear?
Yeah.
It's a morphic field. It's something you participate in.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way that some people don't participate. I don't participate in it. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But
I don't either.
but I had
It's a choice.
40 years. I had 40 years of martial arts that kind of like beat that out of me.
Do you know
Right.
what? Stop showing off. I didn't have 40 years of
Right.
martial arts.
Right.
I had 6 children. Beat that. You can't beat that.
I would say that you had a greater experience of fear than I did.
Yeah, I had 6 of them.
Right. But nobody beat you for having the children. See, so they may have beat you up, but they didn't beat you. So mine's better. Mine's better. So anyway,
yours
so fear,
is better. I'm just now talking to the ego. Do excuse me.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
go on.
So fear is a state of consciousness,
Mhm.
and it's what I call a morphic field,
Yeah,
and it has certain outcomes, just like joyfulness.
yeah.
And so I tell people don't participate in it.
Choice. Choose.
Yeah, and that becomes a choice.
Yeah.
Now, the circumstances may not allow that, and now we could get into every, what do you call it, every discipline, every religion, everything in the world has some form of addressing it.
Mm.
And a real kicker is, to me, all religions are based on fear. So,
Well, my God, we just agreed on something. Can you believe
right.
it?
Yeah.
We are in
And-
agreement. Hallelujah.
yeah, and I've never had anybody argue that point successfully. And hallelujah, you need to do it. Yeah, and
Randy,
hallelujah.
again,
Yeah.
you gave an opinion about you.
Yeah, okay. No,
Naughty.
I agree with you that whatever you just said. Now, yeah. Now, wait a minute. Hallelujah is very interesting because it's one of the meditations I give, and done properly, it'll take you out of this existence into all those other spiritual realms. There you go.
You know what? If I was your wife, I would have killed you and got 7 years for manslaughter. But apart from that, no. For me, fear is I don't choose it. I don't choose it. So hence, I'm creating my reality because I'm not choosing the fear.
You're not choosing to not be fearful.
Do you know what? I've divorced him 20 times. You sure we weren't in another life and married or something? Because this resonates with my ex-husband. What is going on? No. I mustn't insult you like that, please. No. For me, fear is a choice. It's a choice.
It's an opportunity.
All right, I'll give you that one. One to Randy. It's an opportunity. Look, hold on, love. Hold on. The reason this is happening because I speak Queen's English, you speak American, so obviously there's going to be but it is a really important fact to it. Fear. I mean, it is an opportunity, but it's also a choice. And I'm going to give you an example that taught me way back in the day. Another analogy of how to overcome fear in the physical form. I'm not talking spiritual and all the work you do in meditations and all that I know you do. Is I was in one of my roles of work, which was around children, and we had this animal man coming with all the animals, to show the children. And he brought in the biggest frigging tarantula ever to show the children, the bunny rabbits. The bunny rabbits, lovely bunny rabbits. And lovely little hamsters, and of course I was in charge, and all the kids going, "Oh, Gloria, you're gonna hold it," not the bunny rabbit or the hamster, the tarantula. She was as big as my hand. So I've got these young little beings there. I'm thinking, I can't show fear. I mean, but I had the utmost fear of it, honest. I mean, it was like, let's go and vomit now, fear. Yeah. And I had to make a choice. Yeah. It wasn't even a personal choice. I'm looking at the little faces, the 5-year-olds. So do you know what I had to do to overcome my fear? And this is why I say it is a choice. I had a colleague in front of me. I put my arm through her arm, yeah, and I stayed behind her like this and put my hand out. Well, this animal man, he put the tarantula on my hand. And this is a God's truth. And her name was, guess what? Gloria. I mean, you couldn't make this shit up. You really couldn't. And I could feel my heart, yeah. He was going, she's not venomous. She can't kill you, and all this. And I'm hiding, because why I'm hiding behind my colleague was the children were watching me. My heart was going, I was sweating, I was getting hotter and hotter. And I thought, well, you have a choice. I can't, just stop and pull my hand out, because he had just said to me, don't do any quick movements or she bites. This is, so I was in this fear like no fear I'd experienced in my life, none. And I had to make a choice there and then. And I chose, okay, the fear's here, but it's okay. I allow the fear to be here. I'll do it. So I did it. And I didn't die. And got my hand out, whatever. I wanted to kill that man afterwards. Why couldn't you give me the bunny rabbit? But so for me, my life experience with fear has been like that, where I've had to, instead of suppressing the fear, I make a choice, which means I allow it to rise within me. I am aware of it, so I'm not it. I am consciousness. And I make a choice. I don't want to live like this. I want to create a. So how does that resonate with you? You're going to rip that apart. Oh,
it's really true. What happened is in the face of death, you chose to come out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you don't experience the fear, you experience the outcome of it.
Yeah.
The spider bites me and I die.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
It was irrelevant at that point. It was irrelevant. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the spider. It has to do with and I die.
Yeah.
And that's true of all fears.
Yeah.
If I don't do this and then I die.
Yeah.
And
it's a fear
so
of death.
the ability to exercise a choice.
Yes.
Because what we see now is that the collective conscious humanity, if we add up everybody on the planet, is that fear has become prominent, we would say. And not a judgment, but an observation that it is more extant than it was, let's say, 5 years ago.
I agree.
And the way out of it is exactly what you say. It's like in the face of death, by the spider or anything else.
It wasn't just a spider, it was a tarantula.
Okay, well, out of the tarantula, I decide to come out of it. Yeah. I decide to come out of that state of fear. And when you do that, you're no longer feeding the field. You're no longer feeding the fear.
You're not attracting.
And when you quit, that's basically the answer to a whole lot of things.
Absolutely. So I've spent, from that point, every time a fear arose in me, for whatever, there was unconscious fears, there was childhood fears, I'd forgotten about all. I used that approach. So now there is no fear. However, I mean, obviously, if I'm still experiencing being human. If I'm walking down the street on a dark night and some man comes chasing me, my natural human response, physical, will be going to fear, fight or flight. I'm not talking that fear. I'm not talking that sort of thing. But I also agree with you. So we're starting to agree with each other. We need to watch this, Randy. We're starting to agree that the amount of the energy that's resonating of fear in current times is like, ugh.
Yeah.
I always think, like my tarantula analogy, if you just allowed it to be, just surrender, allow it, whatever, then so simple. As soon as you do that, boom, you know, it does come back a bit later. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe. Not that I would ever put my hand in a tarantula's whatever again, but it was a major learning for me about what actually. Right. But I thought I knew what fear was prior to that experience. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and there's always a new one.
Oh, always.
Yeah. Fears are a great game of what I call Jeopardy, where they're progressive. I got over fear of the dark or fear of this or fear of that.
Comes,
and then you become brave and you do things like get married or whatever, right?
So, I mean, and it didn't help, because not only was there a tarantula, then he said, don't make any quick movements, she'll bite you. Yeah. So what happens to the left brain?
Well, that's programmed.
Yeah. Whoa, can I bite you? I'm going to die. Don't move your hand. Your arm's gone. Then the mind starts chatting, telling you BS. Yeah. Your arm is now paralyzed. And, I forgot to say this one. Then this animal guy, this is this experience. You wouldn't make this up. She started to crawl up my arm from my hand. He said, "Oh, she must like you. She doesn't normally
give you a kiss."
Yes. So I now got it on my going up, and here is the most sensitive part, and it was, So I tell you what, guys, if you want to get over your fear, go and find a non-venomous tarantula female and put it in your hand. Trust me, you do that. If you can overcome that, you can overcome anything. Randy.
So do you think this should be a prerequisite to marriage?
I'm never going to get married again. No one should get married. Don't get married. Don't do it. I will never do it again. Not happening.
Oh, that's real fear right there. But anyway.
No, it doesn't interest me no more. That's not fear.
There you go. And that's how you get out of fear.
Yeah.
The entire planet could get out of it by going, this doesn't interest me anymore.
No. Yeah. There's so many things that I'd say, I'm not interested. I'm changing my reality. I'm going to go and do it. What's going on my truth at the moment? What's going on? I'm fully aware of it. I'm in it. I'm a human. I'm here. But I'm not interested in what's going on. I'm getting on with my life, doing my thing. I'm not interested, just like I'm not interested in marriage. Who wants to get married? I can eat when I want, do what I want.
We have an opinion we can agree on.
That is a first. I'd still kill him and get 7 years for manslaughter if I was married to him. Trust me. Yeah. Randy, it has been an amazing hour, and it's been fun, and it's been alive and vibrant, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing your truths. And I look forward, because you're gonna come back end of the year on the show. I look forward to having you there when you'll talk about your spiritual journey, and hopefully we're going to go into it, because I'm really interested in Native Indian America and all that, and I'm really interested. I find it very, very interesting. And I will throw in there, Native Americans, they saw ET and they've drawn them and all that. So I'm just throwing that out there because I'm being.
One comment I have.
One.
Yeah, about what you just said.
Yeah.
I've spoken to a bunch of groups that do ET type stuff. We'll put it that way. And at one point, I finally had enough of it, and I go, nobody has ever asked us Native Americans about ET and about our relationship with them, about our experience with them.
They have.
And about our history. But we have thousands of years history, and they want to talk about somebody that saw one once in 1953. There is a great density of information, experiential, anecdotal, whatever you want to call it,
I'm talking over
yeah.
Randy because I'm trying to get in there, you see?
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
married couple. No, I have seen documentaries fully, I don't know what they're called, I'm very old actually, by the way,
Yeah.
and talking about not only the ancestry and that, but about their connection to these beings. And because of that, I found it not just because of ET, but because to me it's it seems like to be one of the oldest civilizations of Homo sapien with such rich history. I find that interesting. I really do. I really do. But I will disagree with you. I've heard documentaries where they've gone into not just the ET, but their cultures, their way of life, and how they bring in the ancestors, which I think it's not my truth, but it's so beautiful and it's so rich that this experience on Earth is more than just our limited little worlds, getting up, going away. There is so much that we don't, so I'm really looking forward to if you bring something like that into, because it's your heritage, it's your truth. I mean, my heritage is Irish. When actually, I was speaking to Rossi Yonan. My heritage comes out of Jerusalem. That's my bloodline all the way down that way. Quite boring actually, but yours is very, very interesting. So I'm looking forward to chatting, and you can have all the opinions you want.
All right. One of the ways I was taught early on, and what they call spiritual practices, is you have to pay for any opinions. So
do you know what? You can have 5 opinions on the show. I'm giving you 5. In fact, I'm just going to let you talk, and I'm not going to sit there. You'll be watching me going, she wants to say something. She's going to go for me in a minute. She's going to.
So I have refrained from most opinions in this show, and through this method.
Do you think so? Wait till it's aired. Wait to Christmas now. Yeah, right. Do you know what? It's been a privilege and an honor and an absolute joy to hear your truth.
Well, thank you. I've had a great time too. And
I've had a wonderful time. And I'm going to close this podcast, guys. It will be on an Android soon near you. I'm not going to say that either, because he's going to start with his opinions on me. Thank you seriously. Thank you very much. It's been
and toodaloo.
Why do you Americans think we all say toodaloo? We don't say toodaloo.
Because Cheerio has a different meaning here. It comes in a box. So there.
Hello, darling. Yes, but Cheerio is in a box here as well.
Oh, they have Cheerios there.
You've infiltrated the UK, the little island in the middle of nowhere. We just say bye, see you later. We don't. Yeah.
Okay, see you later.
But
ciao, Bella.
How many times someone says to me, "Toodaloo"? What the fuck are you talking about? I don't give toodaloo. That's like the 1930s.
Okay.
So you can't win with me. I'm sorry, Randy. Thank you for watching Inception podcast. And we'll see you again with the next conversation. Bye for now, guys. Bye.
Okay.